anything at times more irrelevant than the AP poll in the preseason when we haven't really seen any of these teams? Maybe it is, maybe it is. And a lot of teams that are in the AP poll top 10 normally and historically do make it to the playoff. Is LSU a borderline playoff team? Is what the AP poll today, with LSU being at number 13, are they a borderline playoff team? I actually today on the Ruffino and Joe show actually put them in at number 10. In at 10. Will that be the LSU Tigers? Am I gaining a little bit of confidence about this LSU team? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? We'll talk about it here tonight. The AP poll that came out, we'll talk about it with Carter, who's going to join us around 7:35. Looking forward to having him here. Oh, by the way, we were back out at practice today, unable to get any video. It was a non-video practice, only a viewing period, and the defense had themselves a day. Is Blake Baker starting to turn around this defense? We'll talk about that in great detail tonight. After Carter leaves, thoughts, questions, concerns, you can fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat. We'll get it to as many of them as we can here tonight as well. So much to get into on this Monday night. Let's get to a couple comments before we get rolling. Let's go, Blake. Says Stephen Fry on YouTube. Defense giving the offense fits in 11 on 11, Blake. Question mark. I can dig it. They did. They 1,000% did. Our man Tony, Cali born boot Ray says, I'm live from DA, the 432 Midland. Good to have my good friend Tony in here. Good to have you with us, buddy. Ray says, Cecilia Island, the 318-31 greats in the building. So is Dane Bergeron. Good to have you here, good sir. David Woodard, also in the 318. Glad that you're here with us. The 334, by the way, of the 337, says Old Vet. Good to have you with us as well. Rayville, Louisiana, in the building. You got to love it. To all of our people that normally watch us on Twitter, I am sorry for whatever reason, I guess because the app is broken with maybe Elon Musk and a presidential candidate getting on. We are finally live on Twitter. So I am sorry to all of those that are just now getting to us on Twitter, but I guess Twitter broke for a second because Donald Trump was back. I don't know. I don't care really about your politics, so it doesn't really bother me. David says, does the 318 carry more of an area code than any other part of the state of Louisiana? I would assume so. I don't know if, someone can tell me I'm wrong, but I would assume so. I will tell you this. I 100% tell you this. The 318-31 Great dominates the podcast platform, the audio podcast. By the way, number one on Spotify, number one on Apple. If you follow LSU, number one, man, number one. Most of that comes from the 318-31 Great. Penn Jones sends two $99 super chats. I appreciate you for sending two. But I'm pretty sure most of them, both of these are the same. So, Penn, if you need $9.99, sit back. I will send it to you. Might have been a mistake. But thank you so much for both of those. He says, well, my mom said before she passed last week, sorry to hear about your mom passing, man. That's sad. I'm sorry to hear about that. She said that LSU will shock the world and win the Natty this year in football. She picked the last three, so I would put $250 down at plus 160. You can do that over at betonline.ag. You can do that at betonline.ag. Plus 1,600 for LSU to win the national title. I'm sorry to hear about your loss, Penn. Thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that, my man. I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Yes. Is this LSU team more balanced, man? I think it's going to be the bigger question. I don't know if you look like a national championship team offensively, but I do think that you could be just a better overall team holistically. I mean, man, we're going to forget how good Jaden Daniels was, man. Some people just forget how good he was. Dude was special. Very special. Brandon Reese says, I see that BK and Bo Davis got a commitment today. That is correct. We will get to a recruiting update at the end. I'll tell you, man, Bo Davis continues on his path of getting DTs. You know, someone said, hey, man, this kid's a 3-star. What do you think of him? Here's my thoughts on what Bo Davis is doing. It's better than not getting recruits at all. Dylan Battle, 3-star defensive tackle out of Mansfield Timberview in Arlington, Texas, committed to LSU today. Look, man, you got to bring in bodies in the interior. And here's my thought process at the current moment. You got to let the dude work, man. You got to let him work. If you trust in Bo Davis, you got to let him work to be able to bring in these guys. So I don't think he's done there. I really don't. Actually, I know he's not done there. I think that there could be 3. I think that there could be 4 potential defensive linemen that you sign in this class. Where they come from, I do not know. Dane Bergeron says, Blake, I bought a new boat this weekend. Come out to Toledo Bend and go fishing with me. Well, if you bought a new boat, you should be sending in super chats here like it's crazy. I wish I could buy me a boat. Don't know what I'd do with it, but I wish I could buy me a boat. I'd probably go fishing. Yeah, I'd probably go fishing. Anthony Hall says, we need bodies and depth. Stop worrying about stars. I agree with that to a lot of extent. Man, they're thin along the defensive line in the interior. And thin in reference to guys that can play. Get them in, develop them, get them stronger, bigger, faster. This kid could be here for 5 years. You don't know what's going to happen when they develop, man. You don't know. Krim says, Brandon Reese says, excuse me, that's 3 interior defensive linemen for LSU in 2025. I think they're going after more, man. Need as many as you can get. All right, let me just say this before we get rolling in the show. Because I know the AP poll came out today and a lot of people want to talk about it. Look, I'm not going to bring up the graphic of the AP poll. It is what it is. LSU did come at number 13 in the rankings. You'll have a top 25 matchup versus USC in Las Vegas. None of that matters. Last year you were at 6. It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. I don't care at this point anymore because everything's going to play itself out. If you're there in the end, great. What it would symbolize and what it has symbolized to some is that LSU would be on the outside looking in of a playoff. And I think that that's a pretty fair. I think that's pretty fair, if I'm being honest. I don't think LSU's winning the SEC, at least not from what I've seen at the current moment. And we'll talk about practice here in just a moment. But could you be a borderline playoff team? Could you be a playoff team? Yeah, I could see it. I can see it. Guys, if you have this team going 9-3, they're going to be a borderline playoff team, regardless. All right, one more, then we'll get rolling. Rob Boudreaux says, Blake, you don't need a boat. You want to go fishing, let me know. I have that. I can make that happen. Yeah, man. Let me know. I'll go. Dane Bergeron with a $10 super chat says, Blake, I talked to Mike Scarborough. You'll be invited to the Tiger Bait cocktail party. Oh, thanks. I'm glad I got an invite here. He says, if you don't show up, I'm going to tell everyone that you put tomatoes in your gumbo. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'll be there anyway. Doesn't matter. People know that's going to be false. So you better come up with something better. You got to come up with something better. Thank you for the super chat, though. I will probably be there. If Mike invites me, I'll definitely be there. All right. Thank you so much for the super chats, guys. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. If you're on Facebook, share to all those groups, share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us a favor by doing the rate, review, and subscribe and all that stuff. You people in the 318, you know how to do it. Thank you so much for doing so. Let's get to our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, good friends over at J&J Exterminating. Let's break down practice. Really good day for the defense. We talk about that next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let's get this thing rolling. One last thing about the AP poll. So it is always put out, and everybody's lists are out. The top 25 are out. I think Reddit College Football puts it out. You can go see where people in the media voted these teams at. You can go see it yourself. Some of the people that vote for the AP poll have no business voting for the AP poll. Zero business, sir. None. Some people in there having Miami not ranked, I think, is a joke. You don't know college football the way that I think that I know college football, because you would have Miami in your top 10 if you did. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because as we go throughout the season, it's not going to matter because everything's going to play itself out. The one thing that I do think is interesting, and always think is interesting, there's always a team in the top 10 that goes into a season or ends the season unranked. Which team is that going to be? It's happened 18 of the last 20 years. What team is that going to be? All right, let's get to it. So we were back out at practice today, and what we've normally been doing on these practice reports is that you and I have been coming in here and we break down the entire practice. I'm not doing that tonight. I'm not breaking down 7-on-7. I'm not breaking down the little swing pass tackling drill that the linebackers did. I might break down. Actually, I am. We're going to go 5 versus 5 here on the O-line, D-line, because they weren't going 1 versus 1. They were sending 5 guys. So 5 defensive linemen versus 5 offensive linemen. Like Savion Jones got a sack on Will Campbell. Yes, you heard that correctly. But it didn't happen again. 4 more reps happened. Will Campbell does not give up a sack. Braden Swinson gets a sack on Emory Jones. That will not happen. The next 7 reps, so the first team offense, first team defense took about 10 reps, 5v5. The O-line won 7 of them. The D-line won 3. I will take it because it's been better than what we have been. However, we're going to go right to the team period because it was a 2-minute warning. It was a 2-minute drill. Can this offense push the ball down the field? Can they move the ball down the field and score? That was what we were watching today in the team period. The team period is 11 versus 11. First team offense versus first team defense. Now, yesterday when we did a show, on Saturday during the scrimmage, I thought that the defense won the 11 on 11. And I'm going to give a preface one more time before we start talking about this. Don't talk to me about 7-on-7s. Don't talk to me about individual drills. Don't talk to me about everything else that's going on at practice when 11 versus 11 hits the field, 1 versus 1 hits the field. What happens in that team period is what I want to know. Because the 7-on-7 where there's no pass rush, the individual drills when it's one-on-one man coverage, yeah, it's great. A lot of guys win there. You've seen a lot of offensive production there. I don't care what is happening in 11 on 11. I want to see what's going on. That is the biggest thing that you can see when you're at practice. I honestly, in my opinion, could go out to practice and not write a damn thing down until we get to those team periods. That is what we're going to focus on today, the defense having themselves a day. So we start off the 2-minute drill with 1s versus 1s, and something was very interesting. I do think that Garrett Dellinger, potentially, who did see snaps at center on Saturday, might just be cross-training at that position with DJ Chester because DJ Chester was at guard today in team period, just in case DJ Chester goes down. We'll have to ask Brian Kelly what that's about with Garrett Dellinger moving over from guard to center. Now, he's been a center before, started against Florida State, didn't go perfectly well from him. Now that he's a fifth-year senior, he knows all the calls. Is that a reason why they're bringing him back there and they're putting him back there? I don't know. Right? Like, I don't know if that's the case, but Brian Kelly's going to answer that when we get him this week because I'm sure that question is going to be answered. But the first thing that was very noticeable was that Garrett Dellinger was your starting center in 1s versus 1s in the periods that we were able to see. So this LSU defense started off very hot, and it would continue throughout the day. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Nuss overthrows Kyron Lacey along the sidelines. Ashton Stamps was in coverage. The reason that the pass, in my humble opinion, was a bad throw by Nussmeier today to start off the team period was mainly due to the fact that he had pressure in his face. Blake Baker, for what it's worth, in what we've seen from him in the very beginning of all of this, he is going to overload one side of the offensive line with defensive linemen, pass rushers, and they're going to get after one side of the offensive line, and they're going to send one more guy than you have in the block because they're going to put pressure on the quarterback. They have been sending more pressure this camp than I remember that they sent the last 2. But Garrett Dellinger airmails Kyron Lacey. I think LSU posted the video of Blake Baker missing the interception and then doing push-ups. But that was the play that he airmailed. A drag route to Chris Hilton Jr. goes for 3 yards. So on 2nd and 10, Chris Hilton gets 3 yards on that drag route. And then they come back and then do it with Parker. So about that, I don't know why they ran the 2nd down play twice, but Parker gets one, and then you have Chris Hilton that gets one. I don't know why they did that, but you do have 2 2nd down plays. Both of them, ironically, go for the same amount of yardage, so it doesn't really matter. Nuss was pressured again, and getting the ball out quickly is what he was trying to do, get the ball to your playmakers in space. And I thought it was good by Nuss. I thought it was good. Look, man, they're sending the heat. You clearly are having some issues at times picking it up because they're sending one more guy than you could have in to block. Get the ball out quick. But the defense is making tackles, man. And that was the thing for me today, that once the ball carrier or once a receiver caught the pass, they were going down. And that was a big issue last year. Hasn't necessarily been a massive issue for you so far this camp. Let's see if that continues. But Parker and Hilton on a drag route for 3 on 2nd and 10. 3rd and 7, you have an out route by Kamari and Pimpton completed by Garrett Nussmeier that goes for 6. Harold Perkins is in on the stop, so you have 4th and short. And this is where shit started getting real. It's because on 4th and short, you get to 4th and short, and not only do you get there, but remember last year when LSU was just so bad on 3rd down and you're forcing things and you're trying to do everything you can to get off the field on 3rd down and you can't? Well, they just did. 4th down in a normal game situation, the team's more than likely going to punt the football. 4th and short, 4th and a yard, it is what it is. Maybe they go for it, I don't know. But you held this LSU offense to a 3 and out. But LSU goes for it on 4th down in a 2-minute drill. Paris Shan gets a tip pass up in the air and picks it off. Let me stop right there. As soon as Paris Shan tips a Garrett Nussmeier pass up and picks it off, the entire defense, so the offense is on one sideline, the defense is on the other. As soon as he picked the ball off, the entire defense met Paris Shan and celebrated with him on the pick. Do you remember the Georgia-Florida game, the largest cocktail party? And when Georgia scored the touchdown so many years ago, the entire team ran onto the field. Imagine that happening today at practice for LSU's defense. They were so hype and so ready to go. So excited that on 4th down with the game on the line in this team period scenario that they get off the field. And they did. And they did. Look, man, I think schematically you're doing things that we have not seen LSU do in quite some time. Like the front 7 today consisted of different personnel that I did not think that Blake Baker would run out there. For an example, the front line, you have some guys standing up, some guys with their hands in the dirt, but you have Braden Swinson on one DN. You have Harold Perkins lined up on the guard right next to him. You have Paris Shan at nose tackle, Savion Jones on another guard, and Deshaun Womack at the other edge. And you're sending the pressure. Greg Penn runs out. Whit Weeks runs in. He is your coverage linebacker. We're going to go after it. Major Burns out. Jair Brown in. And we're going to play bump and run, man-to-man coverage on the outside. And we're going to tell the safeties to back out because we're not going to give up deep plays and we're going to get after the passer. That's what they did today. That's the success that they had. Now, LSU didn't run the football, and we'll get to that in just a minute because Caleb Jackson will wind up having another day too. But 2-minute drill, you're trying to get some things going. You can't, and you force a turnover. Second team would come out there. Ricky Collins would get sacked. I mean, it is what it is. I think Bo Borderline gave up 3 pressures in the second team period. He gave up a sack. It just wasn't his day. And second team, 3 and out, they punt the football. But the first team comes back out there, and this is where shit gets very real. They really force a 3 and out on this LSU offense again. Nussmeier on 1st and 10 gets sacked by 3 players. I couldn't tell who got to the quarterback first, but on the first play in 2 minutes, on the second go-around, 3 players are around Garrett Nussmeier, and they get him down for a sack. The very next play, 2nd and 10. Actually, they moved the ball back. They gave him 2nd and 15. It wouldn't have been a 5-yard loss, so it would have been like a 10-yard loss. Jordan Allen comes up with a PBU. Let me stop right there. Jordan Allen is someone we're not talking about this camp enough. Bottom line. On Saturday, he had 2 big-time pass breakups. He has another one today on Kyron Lacey. Kyron is in the slot. He runs an in route, and Jordan Allen is there as soon as the ball gets to Kyron Lacey, and he breaks it up. Bang, bang play. He breaks it up, incomplete. And at that given moment, practice stops. and the defense goes over to Blake Baker. The offense goes to Joe Sloan, and I can't hear what Joe Sloan was saying, but he was chewing somebody's ass. So now you have a scrimmage where the defense won on Saturday, and you have another team period where the defense got after their ass again. Guys, I mean, look, I'm writing down play for play what happens. You can think that my opinion is dumb, not right, whatever. But that's the realistic nature of what happened. Oh, by the way, as soon as they batted down the pass and got to 3rd and long, they kicked the media out. As soon as we're walking out, Nussmeier throws an interception on 3rd down to Ashton Stamps. So, look, man, 2-minute drill did not go the offense's way today. They legitimately got after Garrett Nussmeier against a really good offensive line and stopped him. And we think that this offense is going to be relatively good. What is this defense doing to a really good offense? That's the question that I'm starting to ask. I am very let me give this disclaimer very quickly too. I know that this defense, the last two practices, in a scrimmage and in this team period today, I know that they are doing it at practice. What I worry about is when they go up against USC that it doesn't translate. For whatever reason, that things from practice, you get in a game and you don't get communication down and it doesn't roll over the success that you're having, or even maybe later in the camp when the offense starts to get rolling on you a little bit. Maybe some communication starts wearing down. I don't know. But, man, if this is the defense that you're going to get, if this is the defense that you're going to put out there and make the plays that you're making, guys, you legitimately can be a top 50 defense. With that being said, if you're a top 50 defense, you're going to be a borderline playoff team. You will be. Regardless of how what you think of them, they got after their ass today. And I want to make this disclaimer too. Everything that you hear from anybody else that's out there at practice, that 7-on-7 doesn't mean shit. Those 1-on-1 drills don't mean shit, because when the real bullets start flying in scrimmage, when the real bullets start flying in 11-on-11 2-minute drill and the defensive stops them, that's what I want to see. Who's going to win those drills? Who's going to win the 11-on-11? Because football's not going to be played in 7-on-7. Garrett Nussmeier's not going to be able to not have a pass rush and just sit there all day long. There are going to be teams that scheme things open. Can this defense continue to build? You heard it from the players today in player interviews. We got to build off today. We have to build off today. And you heard Garrett Nussmeier in his press conference today too. He comes out there and one of the first things that he says is, hey, man, y'all need to stop sleeping on the defense. We ain't sleeping. This show, AYS, isn't sleeping on this defense. How are they going to translate that to the field is going to be the ultimate question. Man, they're playing with more energy. They're playing with more fire. The personnel groupings that you're running out there. Guys, the personnel grouping that you ran in 2-minute drill, the simple fact that you have 5 dudes that are at the line of scrimmage. So you had, let me read this off again. You had Braden Swinson that was standing up on one edge, Harold Perkins that was standing up that was over the guard, and they did some twist with him. It's how they got the sack on Garrett Nussmeier in the second team period. Parashan as the nose guard, Savion Jones as the other guard, and Deshaun Womack as the other edge. Guys, that is what you call pass rush unit. It's what Orgeron used to call, we're going to put in our cheetah package. Y'all remember when Orgeron used to call it the cheetah package? Marcel Brooks was in the cheetah package, if you remember. Another interesting note, the rotational piece that they've ran out at practice has been interesting too. Greg Penn goes out, Whit Weeks comes in. A big complaint a lot of you had last year was that Weeks wasn't getting into the game, was getting into practice. He's getting into practice. And then when you need a more traditional nickel, Major Burns runs out, Jair Brown runs in. Guys, defense in 11-on-11's won the last two practices. I don't know what else to tell you. I know that people want to put a lot on 7-on-7, and that's cute and dandy and fine and all that good shit. You can put it on there. For me in this show, I'm going to look at 11-on-11 and see what's happening. So that was what we had today. All right. Let's make sure we don't have any super chats. Carter Bryant's already in the building. Yeah, Jared Anderson with the $5 super chat. Jared Anderson always repping the show. By the way, people that are watching on video, y'all see Jared's shirt? STTDB. You know what I do first? The first time that LSU's defense runs out in the field, I'm playing neck. I'm playing neck. Let's get this goddamn swagger back. Oh, I got my swagger back. Let's get this swagger back. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, oh. Let's go get it. All right. Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Let's go.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
I am fantastic, Blake. And I want to shout you out. Your scrimmage report was on point. Everyone should go sub to the AYS forum. I will also say, shout out to J&J Exterminating, right? Look, when you guys see these like partners on any of these shows, you got to go support. If you see a cockroach, call J&J. And when you think about it, all right, and I'm chilling.
And we're not talking about those Tony Montana type cockroaches either, little cockroach.
Yeah. I do want to point out that J&J are like legendary initials in modern LSU lore. All right, you got Justin Jefferson, that Jay Johnson guy, kind of important as well. So
yeah,
there you go. So I'm giving
Blake Baker hats to wear on the sidelines to rep, for LSU. Jay gave him a hat. That's what he's repping on the sidelines.
Yes, he's wearing the baseball hat. I was wondering. I was like, let's go.
No more drippier DC in the country more than Blake Baker right now.
Right. And look, I want to talk, Blake, about contingent value. So, one thing I
don't.
do.
You're gonna have to explain. I went to public
Yeah.
school. What does contingent value mean?
Contingent value. It's actually a term that's used in fantasy football. Like all the fantasy
Okay.
experts use this term. Who are the backups, the handcuffs? Who are the guys that, as a late round pick, if the first guy gets hurt, can you rely on that guy to bring you fantasy points? Can you rely on that guy to be a decent replacement? And based on what I'm hearing, based on what I've read on your forum, based on everyone I've spoken to today about the last couple of days of practice, Brian Kelly is doing a really good job of setting this team up with contingent value, right? There's probably quite a few people that are wondering, well, why are they putting Garrett Dellinger at center and seeing if this could potentially be a thing, especially, no, go on.
Well, and you know that DJ Chester's not hurt because he's sitting there at guard.
Right. So what they are doing is preparing for if DJ Chester can't go.
Right.
Because if you don't have him, your backup centers are true freshmen. And that's not where you want to be, potentially true freshmen. So that is a huge contingent value play. The second most important backup, Blake, as you know, on every football team, behind the backup quarterback, is the number 6 offensive lineman. Whoever that first offensive lineman is off the bench. What is your contingent plan? What happens? Last year you had Lance Hurd coming off the bench. That was a great luxury. But now, you're seeing, well, what if our center gets hurt? Well, we need to have Garrett Dellinger ready to go. That's where we want to go. And Delly himself says he knows all the calls. So that's something that I've noticed in practice. They're rolling out all these new nickel packages. They're giving Jair Brown a lot of opportunities. And I can make a very strong case, Blake, and you saw this at practice. And I know the highlight that's viral right now is this guy getting posterized, basically. But Whit Weeks is probably the most important backup on this defense. And I think he is, Blake. I think he is, man. If for some reason Greg Penn or Harold Perkins were to go down, I still think Whit Weeks is good enough to start. And
I think it might be Ashton Stamps.
Oh, so you think so?
Yeah, because I think you have more talent at linebacker than you do at corner.
I would say they're both equally important, if anything.
Probably.
But to your point, he is also very, very, very important. So the one thing I've seen in practice in LSU, one thing that they're emphasizing this year is building that depth. Something that Brian Kelly talked about at SEC Media Days. It's one of the deepest teams that he has had. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited that they aren't doing the same stale practices, or they're mixing in guys so you can really go. And Blake, like you've said, I have heard this from someone who is at practice every single day. Jair Brown is playing better. He's getting better.
I'm playing more than better. Let's start off there. So look, Carter, on Saturday at the scrimmage and today, you have the defense winning the period. You have your defense winning the 11 on 11. What do you make of that? Because look, I mean, there's so many things that can be made of it. I've had my opinion, but I'm interested of yours. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm just going to continue my Blake Baker parade, man. It's just a different building. The whole building's just different. Spoke to a player on the defense recently. It's just different. The energy. You see it. You see guys that I saw someone mention a minute ago. If the players give up on Matt House in your comment section, it's something that John Sibley pointed out. Thank you for Sibley for supporting Blake with the super. It's the enthusiasm. Now, Blake, your boots on the ground. I've spoken to you about this. Spoken to Matthew Brune about this. It just seems different. You see these clips of Blake Baker dropping an interception, doing the push-ups. Is his scheme better than Matt House's? Yes. But defense is so much about desire. It's so much about feeling out a game.
Chemistry.
Yes. And one key thing that Blake Baker said in the press conference that I wholeheartedly agree with, defensive coordinator play needs to be more about feel than the offensive coordinator. Like, you really got to be able to feel out situations, feel out your personnel. When you play defense, you are the reactionary to the offense, right? And watching as much Blake Baker defense as I did last year, not only just, watching him as an LSU DC, but also Blake, just watching him for film studies for the SEC channel that I do, he's good. And Blake, I've gotten 2 DMs from fans saying, Carter, quit glazing Blake Baker. Quit. You got to stop it. Every single show I hear it. But I legitimately think you are watching something truly special. Now, you being Blake, you are my go-to. I trust your eyes more than basically anyone. I like that you are wholeheartedly saying that you feel better about this LSU defense. And I am cautiously getting just a little bit optimistic about it as well. I still don't love the personnel, but it's growing on me day by day, especially as I listen to you.
Look, I want to be cautious, but here's the thing. I know the clips that LSU is pushing out as all of the offensive wins. Carter, we're out there. I mean, look, even if you don't believe me, because this fan base at times can be stupid in reference to, oh, well, I like this guy, so I'm going to believe what he says. I'm not the one that made Wilson Alexander or Zach Nagy or any of those guys go out there and run out and put the same exact things that I did.
Yeah.
Carter, I don't know what to make of you getting dominated. I shouldn't say dominated, but losing the last 2 offensive periods if you're Garrett Nussmeier, Joe Sloan. Now, look, what I think is happening here, too, is I do think the defense, to some extent, 11-on-11 is a little bit ahead of the offense, mainly due to the fact, Carter, they're going through a whole new offensive system in reference to how they want to run things, what they want to do. But you see big runs like Caleb Jackson had up the middle, up the A-gap in the counter trap that he doesn't get touched and goes for 7. That's what I'm talking about in the run game. So everything that I've been seeing, like the run by Caleb Jackson is what I'm talking about. What gets missed, too, the Caleb Jackson running over Whit Weeks, what nobody wants to talk about was 2nd and 10. It brought up a 3rd down that gets a pass break broke up, and they're kicking a field goal. I don't give – here's my thing. Whit Weeks can get run the fuck over all he wants to. But if they're getting off the field on 3rd down, what do I care? I don't care. Right. So there comes a point where, and I asked you this last week. I'm not going to ask you it again this week.
No, bring it.
It's not that I'm worried about Nuss or this offense. What I'm saying is you're going to have to determine to me how you have 6 plays and you getting stuffed. Because, Carter, what happened today was in a 2-minute drill, you legitimately went 3 and out in both of them. By the way, Garrett threw 2 picks. 2 picks. So there comes a part where you have big-ass Paris Shan at the nose guard. I talked earlier, go to the show if you watching the clip, about the personnel that they ran out there. What am I supposed to make of it, Carter, is what I'm trying to ask and get to.
Yeah, so first thing is, I know I tweeted out the Caleb Jackson clip. It's always cool when you see someone run somebody over.
Which he's a bull. We're going to talk about him next.
Yeah.
He's a freaking bull.
Running people over is also analytically not vibes based. Vibes based, it's the best play you can make. All right. But analytically, you gain an extra 1 or 2 yards. Whit Weeks made the play.
He made the play, got him in on 3rd down, and they wind up having to kick a field goal. Again, that's my point. It doesn't matter to me. Carter, a man could get hit and get run over, and his body is implanted into the ground, and he gets shoot down through the ground. He comes up, and Kim Jong-un is on the other side of when he comes out the other part of the of the earth. I don't give a shit if he made the play. That doesn't bother me. So there comes a point where, again, I ask, what am I supposed to make of this? Because here's what my gut opinion is. All right. Y'all going to play around with this defense and find out. But the opposite side of this is, why is there issues on Garrett's decision-making in reference to not converting these 3rd downs?
Yeah, it is something, right? One final thing on the Caleb Jackson thing. All right. And I did see a viewer say earlier about Caleb Jackson's fit in the offense. And I understand. I understand.
They tweeted me and you, just for context.
Right.
They said, does a 235-pound running back deserve in this offense? Shit, yeah, he does.
No, he's going to be good. He's going to be really good. But if there is something that he could work on. He did have some true freshman vision mistakes, right? Where
He ain't having vision mistakes now, though, dog.
yeah, if those get corrected, you might be looking at 1,000-yard rusher, right? And those are more rare nowadays than you would like to think. So he's got the juice. But once again, I'm always going to be an unabashed Josh Williams homer, and I love what I'm hearing from John Emery. But Blake, one minor thing to bring up is we also need to give Joe Sloan some time to grow, because this could be growing pains for him. He was in the booth. He sat next to Mike Denbrock, but Denbrock called the shots. Now, we can get into a debate. Was it the Denbrock offense? Was it the Brian Kelly offense? How much does Cortez Hankton, the passing coordinator, get involved with the play calling? It is a new system and a new line of command, because they are, in theory, co-OCs, even though Sloan is actually calling, the shots, right? So,
and if shit gets bad enough, Brian Kelly's going to pick up a play card and start calling plays. You know that, right? If shit got really bad on offense, he won't do that defensively. Offensively, he will.
He will. And I like Joe. I know some of Joe's friends. Don't know him personally. Same thing about Blake Baker. Know some of Blake's friends. Never spoken to either one of them personally. I know you have, in particular, Joe Sloan. I think Joe is good enough to call this offense. I really do.
Disagree.
But I do want to point out how freaking good Blake Baker is as a DC. I know I keep hammering this. He's really, really good. What he did with Missouri last year, yeah, they had a lot of guys get drafted, and they had a lot of dudes. But it would not shock me if Missouri's defense completely falls apart now that him and Kevin Peoples are gone. So I
think, to your point, very quickly,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that the struggles that Nuss is having is because Blake Baker is sending so much shit at him that he has no idea what he's looking at. So, for example, I sent you and I told everybody about the defensive line unit that was there, the front five. What's not missed upon me is that Paris Shane in the first 2 minute drill got an interception on 4th down. It was Harold Perkins jumping up at the guard position and tapping the ball up, and Paris Shand picking it off. So you got Harold Perkins making a play, being out there, being a playmaker from a schematical standpoint, and then you got Paris Shand picking it off. Now, LSU just posted it, and I tweeted it and said, told you. I'm not making this shit up. My point is, I don't think Garrett fully knows what he's seeing on a day in, day out basis, and this is their base defense. This is the shit that they're running base. Now, P. Scott sends in a super chat and says, got to see this defense against real competition. But, Carter, here's my issue with that. What do you call this LSU offense? It's 1 versus 1. Is that not real competition?
Yeah, I mean, this offense is just as good as USC's offense. Now, they do have familiarity.
Are they?
They do have familiarity with the offense. And, well, I mean, we can crap on Lincoln Riley all he wants. I think Lincoln Riley is kind of gotten stale. But if you're giving him months to plan for LSU, he's going to have a really good game plan.
I agree.
I think USC.
They're going to send the house at Miller Moss's ass.
Yeah, I would too. One thing I would bring up, okay, is Nuss is not small. He's not Bryce Young, but he's not the biggest guy. And when you send those second level pressures, there was another one with they clipped this video. It was a blitz actually from Ashton Stamps coming off the corner.
Yes.
And shorter quarterbacks, I feel, are more affected by second level pressures that are unblocked because, it's harder to throw over them if you're shorter. I think that's part of it. But yeah, they've been getting exotic in practice, Blake, like you've shared.
But see, here's the thing though, Carter. I'm going to be real with you. Based off of what the shit that I've seen and what Blake has sent and the personnel that he's running out there and what he's doing, we might call it exotic because Matt House was so vanilla that Blue Bell thought he was amazing. Okay, but I don't think this is exotic. What I really think is happening here is I think this is going to be the base core of what you see. I really believe that. Shit, y'all think this is playing, brother? Here's the question that I'm starting. Let me tell you this. So to all 587 people that are in here live currently, let me say this. I don't think. Well, how do I want to say this? I don't know if you didn't have the personnel last year defensively. Have you seen Harold Perkins make this many plays? Because LSU just posted him batting up a pass and Parashan making off a pick. Then you have Perk. Okay, we need to talk about Perk. Let's get to him. You have Perk on Saturday shooting through the A-gap, tackling Caleb Jackson as soon as he gets the ball and making a tackle on third down. Carter, I don't want to be over dramatic is what I'm trying not to do. But internally, what I'm really doing is like, we about to fuck some shit up. That's that's legitimately how I feel, but I got to be conservative because I know how the season goes. I think we about to fuck some shit up.
I'll say I would just want to share how much I envy Harold Perkins, right? I mean, this guy in an interview session.
He's having such a good camp, dude. He's having such a good camp.
But the best thing, because Blake, you and I are chubby people. You're getting you're getting.
Hey, man.
No, you've lost weight. I give you a lot of credit, man. But you have to really strictly stick by a diet. Harold Perkins telling the media, I'm just pounding food. And that's helping you become a better athlete.
Dude, we walked out of team practice or our team interviews. Dude was sitting down and had a hind quarter piece of chicken, a thing of pasta, and which looked like steak. My man is eating, son.
Dude, imagine being told, hey, Harold, you're one of the most special athletes. Okay. What we need you to do is eat 5-star cuisine
but dude, here's the thing though. He's making so many plays. It's undeniable at the current moment. That's the thing for me that I love. And you know what? They're moving him all over the place. And you know what? They're getting him close to the football, which I love. Let him go make plays. Stop all this thinking bullshit. Go make plays. So, look, I want to continue to see Perk making plays. But, look, the tackles that he's having for loss, shooting through the A-gap, making these plays, DJ Chester did come back in. There was something I missed. DJ Chester did come back in at center, okay? What I just want to make notice of here is that he's all over the place. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the last two practices in Harold Perkins. Let me move to the offense very quickly. We've spent a lot of time defensively.
Yeah.
Let's focus in on Caleb Jackson very quickly. Caleb Jackson, to me, has had the most explosive camp because as soon as he's getting some of these handoffs, Carter, he's gone for 7. Or he's catching a ball out of the backfield, which, look, let's just be honest, he struggled with last year. And he's running dudes over. That is still a big deal. But the bottom line is, Carter, he's taking multiple plays for 7, and he's not getting touched. I think it's because he's hitting the right holes. I think it's because of this offensive line going up against a D-line that's had issues in the run game. But Caleb dude, I think he's going to be more than 1,000-yard back. I think he's going to be that good. Wow.
I'm almost there. I really am. I do think he's really good. Blake, he was a number 2 ranked player in the class last year, and then the services had him 8. Man, he's definitely one of the most athletic LSU football players ever. And in terms of just pure athleticism, size, strength, speed, combination, he's definitely the best since Leonard Fournette when it comes to just that. And once again, if he corrects just these little mistakes, obviously he had the Ole Miss drop, and I felt like there were some yards left on the field. But if he just gets that much more elusive and that much more of a complete back, you are truly witnessing something big here. And look, this is the best offensive line LSU has put out there. I'm interested to see what the swing situation is. Like we talked about earlier, who your top backups are going to be. It's probably Tyree Adams. Yeah, and your backup quarterback situation as well. But Caleb is so good. He really, really, really is. And it's going to be interesting to see how he grows into this role, because I do think LSU does not mind workhorsing him this year, because he does give you that much more upside. John Emery's not a home run hitter. Josh Williams isn't a home run hitter like Caleb Jackson. Both of them have had explosive runs, and they have been a lot more explosive on longer runs than most would think. But Caleb is that guy. And if he continues to grow, this could be a sophomore breakout that we haven't seen in a long time.
Wide receiver. Look, I don't think this is what I think happened. I think that we undervalued CJ Daniels in the portal. I think on Saturday he took a drag route on 4th down for 25 yards, broke 3 tackles, and got him in field goal range. Chris Hilton, I don't know what to make of him. I think if he stays healthy, he's not going to be a high catch guy, but the yardage is going to be there. And then you have Kyron Lacey. The 4th guy's been Aaron Anderson, who I do think has had a good camp to some extent. Look, he's been wide open, Carter, and they force-fed him the football, and he's been there. And then Xavion Thomas. So I think that you have a rotation of 5 guys that has not come out. Brian Kelly was asked about, you're playing a lot of guys at wide receiver. No, they're not.
No.
With the first team unit, they are not. It is the first 3, and then they're your traditional type of slot guy. One guy that I think I cannot leave here tonight without talking to you about is Chris Hilton. And I think that that's because, Carter, he's been I call him 7-Eleven because he's always open. Sage Ryan has done a very good job at keeping up with him. Look, I got to give Sage a lot of credit here, dude. I really do. I know that LSU Gold posted the individual drills where he's getting beat, but on 11-on-11, man, he's making plays, getting PBUs. But Chris Hilton has been open. I guess your thoughts on his emergence here, because a lot of people knew of the talent but hadn't really seen it like this yet.
Yeah, so I actually met Chris's parents at the spring game and spoke to them for a while.
People.
Oh, they're the best. And I just envied their son, like how patient he was. A few stats here, and this is very bullish on Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton. Like every single Louisiana top 100 wide receiver that has played at LSU, I think the last 9 of them have all made the NFL. All of them. So,
and you know what's even crazier than that? Everybody thought Trey Palmer was a bust, and then he goes to Nebraska, and then look what he's doing in the league.
Right. Even the ones that don't work out at LSU, like Trey Quinn, Tyron Johnson. So historically, that means really good news for those 2 guys, because they've really not done a whole lot. They've been, on the backseat, of course, to Kyron and those other 2 legends that are killing it in the NFL right now as rookies.
Right.
But top 100 Louisiana wide receivers are as sure as a bet going to the NFL, not only here, but when they go to other schools as well.
Right.
So that's very good news if you're Chris Hilton and Aaron Anderson fans. You're right. Chris is definitely one of the hardest workers on the team. Obviously there have been some drop concerns in his career. There's been some balance concerns in his career, but it's come together, right?
He's getting airmailed by Nuss, and he's not getting they can't. Here's the reason why he's not exploding in practice on these deep balls, these go routes, these posts. He's getting airmailed.
Yeah, and look, one kind of underrated thing was, and I do want to say this. I did a full film study on Jaden's preseason game on Power Hour NFL. Jaden is one of the best deep ball throwers I have ever seen. Dude, I swear. I know that sounds nuts because he doesn't have a Mahomes arm and he's not known for that. But there's not many guys I want to
get it on Jared Bernard Converse too.
Jared. Yeah, there's not many guys I want throwing a goal ball down the sideline more than Jaden. Like, it is insane how good he is at that. He was with Brandon Ayuk early in his career, and obviously it faded and it got better. Garrett's deep ball accuracy, for the most part, is good. For the most part, is really good. But I am a little concerned because we want to hit Chris on these deep balls. And like you said about CJ Daniels, CJ is good.
He's another one. Let me tell you this. he's another one that I want to say, like, I want to be able to come out here and say what I feel, but I'm so gun shy at the current moment on some of these things that I'm seeing that I'm standoffish. Right. Like, and because here's the thing, nobody at wide receiver this camp has made a better play than what CJ Daniels did on the drag route on 4th down, breaking 3 tackles, stiff arms, Harold Perkins down to the ground. Okay. And Park gets up like, all right, big fella, let's roll. And dude, he's on a Biletnikoff watch list because of this. Yeah. I'm just not sure. And Carter, he had 8 catches for 89 yards against Oregon. Like, it's not that he's not going up against P5 programs and not done some really good shit. Yeah. It's just, for me, dude, I don't know if you haven't reloaded at receiver, but the whole team, this is my God's honest take before I get you out of here.
No, go ahead.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
And look, CJ has a chance to break one of the craziest records at LSU. First out-of-state receiver to get over 40 catches in a season since Terrence Oliver. And he's got a really good shot.
He's got more than a really good shot.
He's got a really good shot. And look,
you got 2 really physical wide receivers in Kyron Lacey and CJ Daniels. And you have a dude in Chris Hilton that can take the top off. They're going to alter it out because then comes in Aaron Anderson, then comes in Xavier Thomas. Dude, I'm sorry, man. They reloaded. Now, does it mean you reloaded to 2 first-round wide receivers? I'm not saying that. But
okay. Well, Blake, I mean, let me just share a few things here about CJ Daniels. Number 1 last year, SEC StatCat yards per route run. Okay? Yards per route run is one of the stickiest stats when it comes to wide receiver play. And sticky means it's predictive from one year to the next. And yards per route run is simple. You divide the amount of yards you had by the amount of routes you run. And CJ Daniels, was he best in college football? Up there with Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison. Now, I understand it's Liberty competition. He had Caden Salter.
Well, then explain Oregon.
Yeah, and that he had some down moments in that game, but he was also really good in that game too. And the
fade route he caught along the sidelines was insanity.
And one thing I do like about him as well, on top of the yards per route run, I have a buddy. I wouldn't say he's a close friend, but his name is Mike Renner. He used to work at Pro Football Focus. He's with CBS. He is extremely high on CJ Daniels to the point where, like, this is a national analyst with no ties to LSU or Liberty. It's his job to get this shit right. And he really, really thinks CJ Daniels is special. I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there just yet, but I do think he has a really high floor, and he's going to do some really good things at LSU. They wouldn't.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Last thing here. Do you think you're an overall better team balance because of how much better this defense might be?
Yes. The simple truth is this, Blake. The first 2 years, and I think Brian Kelly would sit and tell you this, the first 2 years of LSU football has been very chaotic. It's been very good. It has been far more good than bad. So in year 1, you had a really balanced team that played a lot of chaotic games, right? You really didn't blow anyone out until the Purdue game. You had a lot of these close games where you either start slow and you just kind of found a way to win. And then the next year, it got even more chaotic, where you had one of the best offenses we have ever seen in college football and one of the worst defenses we have ever seen relative to expectations and the amount of draft picks and so on and so on, blue chip ratio, all that stuff. I think this team will be a more chaotic neutral, if that makes sense, right? It's not going to have the Jaden and Malik upside.
It won't. It's not.
It's just impossible.
You're not going to have a quarterback that's going to run for 85-yard touchdown. It's not going to happen.
And then obviously BTJ, it's just not going to. It's going to be really, really hard.
He's so good. He's so pretty. Did you see him this weekend?
Oh, that was not only did I make that catch, Blake, he played all 9 snaps with the first team unit. So really excited about that. But Blake, I think Brian Kelly just wants this team to be like obviously you want to be exceptional in all three phases, but I do think this will be a team that is top 60 in offense, top 60 in defense.
Oh,
What?
top 60, not top 16.
No, not top 16. I
I
think
was
you're
about
gonna,
to
I
say
think you're
we're
just
going
going
to
to
the
be
national title if that happens.
right. He just wants things to be more even. Like you don't want to be on a team where your special teams is one of the worst we've ever seen at LSU. You don't want to have a team
That's
where
not going to happen.
yeah, that's not going to happen. They upgraded punter, and Ramos has had a good camp, and Slade Roy is a great deep snapper. I know I'm biased, but still. And then obviously defensively, Blake, you don't want to have the worst defense we've ever seen at LSU, which it felt like last year at times. I think this team will be more of just a solid team. It might not have the Jaden upside where Jaden can go out there and win and play perfect in every single game. You're not going to have that level of quarterback play to bail you out. But I do think if you have an offensive line as good as LSU's, you have a coaching staff that's gotten better, I felt this offseason, you're going to feel better about the future of the team, and the immediate future of this team, I think is pretty solid. And I'll end with this, and I'll keep it on your show. LSU has never gotten schedule breaks like this. Never. It's and that,
Carter,
that
you're beating Bama at home.
Yeah, I believe so too. And I also think, you wouldn't normally, like if I looked at the schedule 3 years ago, I wouldn't look at the schedule and say, okay, this is an easy schedule because Chip Kelly was at UCLA. You had 2 out-of-conference Power 5 games. But really, LSU, once again, I've already ranked them. LSU's got the second easiest schedule to me in the SEC, especially if you're
Is Mizzou at 1?
Mizzou is by far at 1. I saw your short earlier. That is inexcusable how much softer their schedule is, and everyone is inexcusable. Their bye week allocation, all of it, it's bullshit. It really is. But
Carter the Power Bryant, that's what makes you the GOAT, buddy. It's almost here, man. Almost here. All right, we'll see you next Monday. Thank you so much. Always fantastic, buddy.
How about cheers?
Carter the Power Bryant. We ran over a little bit here. Recruiting update. Look, Phillip Wright, big get. In my opinion, I think he's the second best receiver in this in the state. And then you get the Dylan Battle today too. So big time addition. We'll be out of practice again tomorrow. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good one. Peace.